Speaking of, I just want to throw something out there, man. I got a call from a different number.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I know, bro. I know. I just was like,
So
okay.
She hit you up, huh?
Yeah.
She leave
boy.
you a message or?
No. I was like, hello, and
Oh, okay.
next thing you know, like, I'm like, okay, well, I guess I got to take this call. So I took care of it, and
Okay. All right.
I'm just like, okay,
Well, we'll talk about the contents of that conversation.
yeah. We can talk about that later, but I thought that you might find that funny.
No, it's hilarious. Like she's got like 12 numbers. I don't know
Yo,
where
I
she
was
gets,
like,
I don't know where she gets all
who
these
is
numbers
this?
from. I have blocked her on 7 of her numbers, but she still is sending me text messages. It's ridiculous. Anyway.
Yeah, Chris has a stalker.
Yeah, well.
Chris has a stalker right now.
I
Well,
don't know.
Speaking of, would you be comfortable sharing that one story about the recent gentleman, or no? But without saying names. If not, it's all good. It's all good. I mean, I don't know if that's like, if you don't want to.
No, I'm not uncomfortable sharing anything. I'm just trying to think like what I would share exactly.
Okay, got you.
Maybe I was bamboozled. So
Yo, but by the way, Chris, like one of the cool things, put this together, like we're with Monica Grace. I love that Monica Grace.
Yeah, it's a great name.
That's a beautiful name. Like that's like a superstar name.
Agreed.
She has a book coming out too.
Oh, no way.
Yeah,
All right,
yeah.
let's promote it.
So yeah, that's and it has we have to make sure that Chris gets the cover of that book. We'll have to text it to him. So
yeah.
it's a really dope
I've
cover,
got it
bro.
pulled up
Okay.
Yeah.
on my phone. I could
What was the title again?
It's called The Unfolding.
Oh,
The
you got to get that
Unfolding.
mic close to you.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
yeah,
I can't
yeah.
hear
You
Yeah,
can't hear
talking
me?
to the mic. Yes, there you go.
Speak it to the
perfect.
mic. There you go. Yeah.
So my book is called The Unfolding.
Unfolding.
Nice.
Yeah. And it has a dope like cover, man. Like, I mean, honestly, like that's one thing that I've learned too, Chris, is like going, like you want a nice cover like that stands out, that makes people like, gets their attention.
Yeah.
That's like the first step. Like if you have a dope cover, that's gonna bring me in. So like one time I went down to what's that prestigious like bookstore area down there in Tampa?
Prestigious bookstore.
Yeah, it's
area.
down in like downtown Tampa. Man, there's
By the
like
university?
Huh?
By the university?
No, it's closer, I guess, by like UT.
Okay.
What's the name of that? Man,
Hyde Park?
it's that area, but there's a name for it, and I can't think of it.
I don't know
right
if Hyde Park's prestigious.
Yeah.
Really? It looks
Well,
pretty
it
prestigious.
It sounds like it, and it does look like it until nighttime comes and then you see the the crowd that comes out there. Not very prestigious, those folks.
well,
Familiar. I only
well,
saw
the younger
photo.
crowd comes out at night,
That's exactly what it is.
and it gets kind of silly down there. I used to hang out down there when I was younger.
So did I. It's a pretty good hookup area.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely. I mean, like beautiful young ladies,
yeah.
just getting like hammered.
Wasted.
Sure.
Yeah, and hammered. It's like if that's what you're looking for, it's definitely a lot of opportunity.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
A nice way to put it,
I only went to their arts festival.
Okay. In Hyde Park.
Yeah, and it was lovely, and I just got to drive around and see all the gorgeous homes.
Gotcha.
But I did
It-
see it was close to the university.
Yeah, it's got a very historic look to it. It reminds me, Hyde Park area reminds me of like certain parts of Boston.
Oh,
Where you got those like brownstones and like this old like just the old homes, you know what I'm saying? Like the old historic look to it. It's a cool spot. It's definitely a cool
I
area.
love any area that has like that brick.
Yeah.
Man, like that's tough. Like, I mean, it looks good. It
I'm
has,
a
like,
fan
that-
of it.
Yeah.
I had some friends who I was like, I like the way old brick homes look, and not like the cheesy like red brick, but kind of like like the townhomes or the brownstones in like Brooklyn, New York that are brick. I think those look great. They were making fun of me. They were like, "Oh, brick sucks." I was like,
Really?
"Oh, whatever,
Dude, are you kidding me?
Whatever, you
Greystones
jackass."
and
Like, dude, there's not enough like brick nowadays. It's like all
Agreed.
that stucco crap.
Right? I
everywhere,
like
man.
cobblestone streets. I like
Same.
old school stuff.
Same here,
you know?
man. Yeah, we're getting old, bro. Like,
We are getting old, man.
The Oxford Exchange is the place that I was trying to tell you about. Yo, I don't know if you've ever been there.
Never been there.
I have been there.
Yo, that's a beautiful place to hang out.
Yes.
You know, it's like a great spot for, you know, they got a restaurant in there. They got a bookstore.
Nice.
It's a great spot to like meet and, you know, and like do business or talk about whatever you like, you know, if you're trying to do something together, like, you know, create something. I mean, it's a comfortable setting. But anyways, what I was trying to say was I went in there and I was like looking around at the bookstore and I was like, man, what sticks out to me?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I kind of was like, you know, if I was to have a book, I want to, you know, so I was looking like what would, you know, reel me in.
Yeah.
And that's what I was saying, like about her book. It kind of reels you in. I wish I could show you a picture. But
So the
we'll
cover reels you in.
It reels me in.
Okay. For me, I think it's a title that's gonna.
Well,
reel
you know,
me
just to get my attention.
Yeah.
And then I'm looking at the title.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But just to get my attention, it gets my attention. Well, I don't know if I'll have to show it to you, man. But
I've seen that. I saw.
Okay,
I think I
okay.
saw that on Instagram. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's the book.
yeah, that's the
Oh,
book.
awesome.
That's me on the cover.
Yeah, and that's her
No
on
way.
the cover. Yeah.
See, I was
dude.
wondering if that was actually you.
That's me.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Good.
Interesting.
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah, Monica, like I met Monica at church at City Life.
Yeah.
They were doing a talent show last year, and she was dancing. She did some dance, you know. There she was really good, and you know, I did some poetry there, and actually, from that talent show, Janine is holding the Hope and Healing event, and that's what I'll be speaking and doing some more poetry. And then another dude named Curtis, he's doing some poetry there as well.
Nice.
So it's like, yo, God has got his hands in on everything,
Okay.
you know. So it's like, you know, we're all connected. And you know, I kept running into Monica at church, and then we spoke. And you know, I forget how that went, but you know, that's when you started telling me about your book was coming out and all this stuff. And you know, I don't know, not going into too much like detail, but what would you want to say about the book? Like what would you know? Is there anything that you can tell us that without giving away too much that would kind of give us a synopsis?
Yeah. Well, I wrote the book because for many years, maybe since I was a child, I always have dreams, and that's how God shows me stuff and reveals things that I don't know. They're like mysteries. And so the reason why I wrote the book was because I had a dream in 2001 about a woman telling me, "Oh, I'm getting the word that you're adopted." And I was like, adopted? I was like, I'm not adopted because my mom, who is Palestinian, she had me at 17 years old.
Okay, can you put that a little closer?
I'm
yeah,
sorry.
a little bit.
Well,
yeah.
kind of just like angle it toward.
Yeah.
like
Angle it like twist it. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yay.
Yeah,
It's my
there we
first
go.
mic experience.
Nah,
Thank
you're
you.
good.
Now I can hear myself.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
So,
exactly.
yeah, so in 2001, I have this dream of this woman telling me that she's getting the word that I'm adopted. And I'm like, well, I can't be adopted because my mom had me at 17. She was a teenage mom. And of course, I was an unplanned pregnancy, of course. And I look a lot like my mom, who's Palestinian, and my dad is black. So anyway,
That's an interesting combination.
It is a
like Palestinian and black.
unique mix.
That's
yeah.
a very. I've never heard of that mix before. Sorry,
It's
I'm
rare.
sorry to cut you off.
no,
but I just
it's
wanted
rare
to like point out the
because
uniqueness.
most Arabs, they usually stay within their own ethnicity.
It's a good point.
When it
Right.
comes
It's a
to
very
marriage.
good
They
point.
don't like to intermarry.
So how did your dad lure your mom out of that?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
All right, should we get into that?
No.
All
Yeah.
right.
So what it was that my mom, she came here from Jordan when she was 5,
Okay.
and her father was murdered
Whoa.
by my grandfather was a Christian,
Okay.
and this lifelong family enemy who was a Muslim came to him one day and was like, "Oh, hey, let's make a truce. Let bygones be bygones, and and let's go out hunting." And so my grandmother, being like, maybe she was a teenager, she was married to him, she was just like, "No, don't go." She said that she just felt like the spirit of death just come.
Okay.
And she was like, "No, don't go. And he's like, "Oh, no, it'll be fine." Because from what they say, he was this really amazing, loving, beautiful man. And so
Wait, hold on. Which man was the amazing, beautiful man?
my grandfather.
Your grandfather.
Okay.
Gotcha, gotcha.
So what happened was he goes out with him. the guy shoots him. And then he's like telling the people, "Oh, I thought he was a deer in the bushes."
It was an accident.
Yeah, it was an accident,
Oh my God.
whatever. So he didn't listen to my grandmother, so he gets killed
Oh my goodness.
while my mother is in the womb.
Oh wow.
And so what happens is my grandmother has a daughter already who's like 1, and then she's pregnant with my mom in Jordan.
Okay.
And now she's a widower at like age 18 or something.
Oh wow.
So she's got to go back home. And so her brothers, it's common in the Arab culture that the brothers will set up their sister to marry some other guy so he could take care of her. So anyway, so they marry her off to this man, and he's thinking that she's got money because she's a widower,
Okay.
which she didn't. And she's thinking that he's got money. So they're like, oh, we could marry her off and then this man could take care of her and her kids. So anyway, so long story. My mom and my sister come here to Chicago when she was 5 years old and her sister was 6.
Okay.
So when they get here, the new husband is like, I don't want your kids. And my grandmother doesn't know English. She doesn't know anybody in America. She's straight off the plane.
So this new husband, and he's Palestinian.
He's actually Lebanese.
Lebanese.
Which is
Okay.
another Arab group.
Gotcha.
So anyway, so he's like, I don't want your kids.
Wow.
You can't come in the house if you're gonna have these kids. So you got to get rid of these kids.
What are you gonna? What are you gonna do with the kids?
Yeah. You're like,
Right.
oh, just get rid of my 2 daughters. Okay, So my grandmother has no choice because she can't speak English. She doesn't know anyone. Blah blah blah. So she's just like, well, I'll send them to the Catholic orphanage so the nuns and the priests could raise my 2 daughters because she didn't know what else to do.
Wow.
So my mom and her sister Rima are orphans in this orphanage.
Yeah.
And so she meets my
She gave them up so she could stay with the Lebanese man.
Her new husband.
the new husband because she didn't think she had any other
This is
options.
insane.
This is a great story. Like there's so many
Yo, all right,
levels.
is this how the
I
book?
mean,
Is this how the book starts?
It's in the book, yeah.
It's an amazing story. I'm not saying it's sorry. It's not a great story. It's an amazing
Yeah,
story, and
yeah.
there's so many levels to it, and it's tragic, but at the same time, very
Yeah,
interesting.
Exactly.
So that's all in the book. And so what happened is my mom is this teenage 16-year-old girl,
Okay.
goes off to the north side to hang out with her friends.
Okay.
Meets my dad, who's probably about 8 years older than her. So he's probably in his 20s and she's 16.
Oh, so he's about 24.
Yeah, he's
Okay.
like 23, 24 from
Man,
what
yo.
I understand. So
He
he's
sees
like,
this beautiful Palestinian woman,
Yeah,
16 years old. He's like,
he's like, let's get this.
licking his. No, I'm just-
Licking his
Well,
chops.
wait, he was 24 and she was 16.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not a huge.
Well, I
age
guess back
difference.
then too. That
the mother
was
of my
more-
child is 8 years younger than me.
That was a little more common too. But these days, a
But she's
24-year-old.
Yeah, but she's 16. That's the thing. Like today, we would think.
Today.
We know a 16-year-old's a child.
Yeah.
There was a time where 16-year-old girls
back
were married
then. I don't
and-
think
and
that.
mothers.
I don't think they looked at it like that.
I don't think they did either.
Yeah, I don't think that the men would go to jail back then.
No, absolutely not.
It's because I was born in 72. So anyway, so what happens is she loses her virginity to this older black man, and then
Interesting.
boom, she's pregnant
Wow.
with me. So then what happens is her Arabic family,
Oh,
they disown her because
course.
one, she's with the black man.
Yeah.
She's not married.
So look at
and
this.
she's a teenager.
Hey, that's-
she's literally like 17 by the
That's the
time.
reality of the world. You know what I'm
Yo,
saying?
like just to touch on that, and my mother put my sister up for adoption because she's half black,
Mhm.
and she was scared of how her family.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah. That Jennifer, you met her.
yeah.
That she was put up for adoption because of that same reason.
That was the reason.
Same
Wow,
reason.
I
Yeah.
didn't
My
know that.
mom was, was afraid of how her family would handle it, and they were racist.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's
So-
interesting. So my mom is an outcast. She has me. She's got this wealthy white family in the suburbs of Chicago that has a bunch of adopted kids. One is Asian, one is Latino, one is black, so they have all these mixed kids. They have all these different ethnicities, and then they have a couple of children of their own.
Okay.
And so my mom was in her last year of high school. And so they raised me for the first year while my mom finished school. But they wanted to adopt me. But my mom decided to keep me and not give me up for adoption,
Okay.
even though she had an option of this beautiful family that wanted me. So anyway, so I grow up and I don't meet my Arabic family because they disowned her. So I only grew up with my black cousins and my grandmother on the south side of Chicago. So I only knew the black side of the family from up until age 8.
Yeah.
Once I turned 8, she broke away from my dad because he was like, you know, verbally abusive and very insecure, and there was all kinds of issues. So she broke away from him. And so once she split up with him, now I finally meet the Arabic side of the family.
Interesting.
And then we lose touch with the black side of the family.
Okay.
Wow.
And so I talk about this in my book because that was one of the things. It was like, it was really difficult for me growing up being black and Arab because the black family would give me a hard time. And they're like, oh, you think you're better than us because you're light skinned and you talk like you're white. And I was like, well, what does talking like white mean? I was like, I talk like my mom. I can't help the way I talk.
Yeah.
And so the black people didn't like me. I didn't fit in because I wasn't black enough.
Sure. That's a common thing.
It is a very common
And then
thing.
the Arabic people didn't want, my Arabic family, they didn't want to meet me because I am half black.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm not fitting in on either side of the family.
Man.
Yeah. Join the club.
Yeah, I mean, Chris, this is something that you've struggled with.
No, for sure.
When you were younger, right?
Oh, yeah.
Because you're well spoken.
Well, there's that. Yeah. So for sure, I've always felt like I've been in the middle, right? Because I'm not to toot my own horn, but I'm well spoken and kind of intelligent, so I don't really fit in with the black folks. But then also I'm black, so I don't really fit in with the white folks either. So I'm always like in between, and that's where I live. I live in the in between.
In-betweeners.
Yeah,
The in-betweeners, man.
I'm comfortable with it at this point in my life. I'm like,
I mean, I love the in-betweeners. Like, that's what I gravitate toward.
yeah.
I mean, that's why I'm sitting in this room with you
Yeah.
guys.
There it is.
It's like a natural connection, like with the in-betweeners. But anyways, I'm sorry, Monica.
Oh, no, that's okay. So anyway, so I grew up in this like this internal struggle of not really fitting in.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd have my white friends at school and they were like, well, we like you, Monica, because you're not like the other black kids.
Oh, wow.
And so then
There we go.
I'm offended by this because I'm like, but I am still half black.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then
Wow.
I had
This is a struggle.
the black people that were like, they didn't want to have anything to do with me because they're like, oh, you talk like you're white, da-da-da-da. So I was shunned at school. I
Yeah.
was shunned in the family.
I mean, we can laugh about this stuff right now, but to go through that,
As a
I
kid.
can't even imagine.
Yeah.
It's
tough.
it's just, that's terrible, dude. As a child, like, I would not be, trying to put myself in your shoes as a child, that would break, tears. I'd be, I'm pretty sure. I mean, you probably had tears at times, and you I mean, I don't know what you went through as far as emotional wise, but I'm sure it did some damage.
Well, kids are more resilient than we give them.
Oh,
credit
are they?
for. And also, they're
Good point.
They're kind of
Okay.
ignorant too, so they don't take things
True.
as hard.
All right.
When I was a kid, like if I went through the crap that I went through as a kid today, I would be crying. I'd be like, well, this is horrible. But like the first 14 years of my life growing up in Brooklyn, New York,
bro, that's a tough place.
We moved. My parents and I moved like 8 times.
Wow.
Like, could you imagine moving every other year
No.
as an adult
No.
and like having to go through the stress of moving and like living in a new neighborhood and then going to a new school and like just as a kid though, you kind of just deal with it because you're a kid and you don't know any better, and this is your
It's like, all right, this is what I
reality.
got to do.
And luckily enough, kids are resilient in that way, and they don't understand the stresses of life like adults do. And if you have to go through the same things as an adult that you went through as a kid, you would probably really like not be in a good place.
That's
you know
a
what I'm
good
saying?
point, man.
Kids are resilient.
I like that though. Like, I'm glad that you pointed that out though.
Mhm.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
Kids are resilient.
they
Children
are.
can be resilient.
But not always.
Yeah.
Sometimes it really weighs on a child, and unfortunately, they do pretty. they react pretty poorly to it. You know what I'm saying? And they can have behavioral issues, and then they can grow up to be pretty shitty adults depending on the circumstance. But for the most part, kids are super resilient, which is why the majority of people are decent human beings, because
I'd say so.
most kids don't have the best upbringings, but
Yeah.
they still grow up to be at least decent human beings for the most part.
There's more good in them.
There is more good in this world than there is bad. 'Cause
Absolutely.
imagine if the world was more bad than good.
Oh yeah,
We-
be a wreck, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I know for me it was hard though because my dad, he was chocolate color, dark chocolate, and my mom.
Do you still talk to your dad?
Well, here's the thing. Listen, my dad was pretty dark. My mom was white. She's white. She's like your color. She's a light Palestinian where she's got,
Wow.
blonde hair, blue eyes,
Interesting.
real white complected. Her whole family looks white.
When I'm thinking Palestinian, I was not
yeah,
thinking
you're
that.
thinking like the dark exotic.
Yeah,
But
mhm,
yeah,
yeah,
but my
yeah.
whole family, actually there's a lot of redheads in the family
What?
with freckles
Really?
and blue eyes, green eyes. So no one knows that
no
they're
idea.
Arab because they're so fair. So
Nice.
anyway, so growing up,
Wow.
I didn't know what Arab was. I just thought my mom was a white woman.
Mm.
And so my dad would confuse me because he's like, Monica, you shouldn't have white friends. You can't trust white people, blah, 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 blah. And he would make me listen to Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech on our
wow,
album, on
wow.
our record player. And he'd always
Right,
have me
right.
listening to that. But I was confused because I was like, okay, my dad's telling me not to have white friends, but my mom is white.
Your family's white, right?
So I'm really confused.
Right.
And then I go to his mom's house, my grandmother who lived on the south side, and she's telling me, oh, you think you're better because you talk like you're white and because you're mixed. And she was real bitter because she grew up with an Italian father and a black mom. So she grew up like in the 50s where there was so much racial tension. So she was so bitter because she got so much discrimination for being a mixed woman. So she would like project that onto me.
Yeah.
And she'd be like, oh, you think you're better and da-da-da-da, and you're going to be just like your mom. You're going to be a teenage mother. And I was like,
just
I'm
think
like
about
5
that,
years
though.
old. And I was like, no, I'm not going to be like my
nice.
mom.
You was
I'm
fighting
not
back.
going to be a teenage mother.
Wow,
I'm going to go to college and I'm going to do
Wow.
this and do that. And I
Yeah,
wouldn't
see?
let her curse me because she was
Yo.
trying to curse me.
Oh, and
Yeah.
you kind of caught that.
I was like, no.
Wow. So you knew at that age.
Yes.
Like I would have just sat there and took it.
I was like,
I,
no.
like at 5, I didn't,
Right, right.
like, okay. Yo, but it's so crazy when you think about that though, is like parents got to be careful because like you speak what your child's gonna do into existence unless they're like, Monica Grace over here and they're like,
Right,
not
right.
today, Satan.
Exactly.
right.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be no teenage mom.
Good for you.
I'm like, I'm going
Yes,
to
good for you. I
college
like that.
and,
Good for you.
and I'm going to do this and that. And so anyway, so for me, it was just really hard because I had all these things going on in my family.
Yeah.
And it was so confusing because I was like, my dad's black telling me not to have white friends, but my mom's white and he's with her. So what sense does that make? So
Sure,
I was
doesn't make
just
sense.
like, what is going on here? It was so confusing.
Gotcha.
All right.
But anyway, but I didn't listen to him. I grew up in a very diverse community on the north side of Chicago. And I always had white friends, a couple black friends that would accept me, that didn't look at my color or the way I talk, and some Asian friends and some Latino friends. So I always like
That
to
saved
have
you.
like a whole group of different
Yeah.
people.
That saved you.
So not the south side of Chicago.
No,
Chicago,
the
'cause
south
I-
side is all black.
I heard that was like the baddest part of town.
It's bad and
Yeah.
it's all black.
Okay.
Okay.
All
And
right.
and some of the people that live on the south side,
Mm-hmm.
they don't even see white people because the whole community
Wow.
is black.
Really? Is that still going on today?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Outside's
Yeah, the south side of Chicago. That's what you see in the news all the time. But
Wow.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's where all the crime happens, the south side and the west side.
Oh yeah. yeah.
So I would go to the south side to go visit my grandmother.
where's Common from? Southside?
South?
I don't know. There was a guy named Leroy Brown though. Yeah, I know he's from the south side of Chicago.
Okay.
He's a pretty tough guy.
Yeah.
okay.
All
Most of the people are from
Gotcha.
the south.
Leroy Brown.
Leroy Brown.
Who's Leroy Brown?
Bad Leroy Brown.
Is he a mafia guy or
Yeah,
something?
nah.
Gangster?
There was a song written about him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, okay. All right.
No idea.
All right.
It's an
This
old-
is interesting.
It's an old classic rock tune.
all right.
Jim Croce.
I got a feeling that this is a good song, man. It's a funny song.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to play that one later, man. Little Leroy Brown.
It's a little on the racist side, but you
Oh,
know,
okay.
but no,
A little-
it's outside of Chicago.
Yeah.
Pull out a little Leroy, man.
Yeah.
That's what's up. All right. Good stuff, man.
Hilarious. But yeah, Chicago. I was there a few years ago for a conference for work.
How long were you there
And,
for?
I was there for a week when I was there.
Mm-hmm.
And this was 20. I want to say. So when did COVID really hit? Was like 2019.
2020?
March 2020.
Yeah.
20. Okay, so I think this
Good
conference
call.
took place in 2019
In
I wanna
America,
say.
March 2020, because I believe it was going on over
Yeah.
over in China, like in 2000, like November.
Yep.
November, I think, is when it started to surface, right? But either way, that's
Right, right.
irrelevant. What
Yeah.
you were saying.
Yeah. So the conference was in 2019. It was my first time like being in Chicago for an extended period of time. I think I've had a layover there for a flight.
Okay.
So I was there for a week. This is 2019, and I was surprised by a couple of things, like the amount of homeless people in Chicago. And this, and it wasn't. I forget where we stayed. It was a pretty nice hotel for the conference, and still, if you just walk like half a mile, not even half a mile, if you just walk like 10 minutes outside of the hotel area, and there was like underpasses and whatnot. It was just nothing but like homeless people.
Mm-hmm.
And then I went to like an Italian restaurant because I wanted to get the like deep dish Chicago pizza.
Oh yeah.
And so it's the first time I've ever seen a sign on the front door of a restaurant. You can't come in here if you have a gun.
Oh wow.
Like that works.
Yeah, right.
Like, oh, I'm not gonna go in there.
like
then.
that works. But the fact that they gotta put a sign up, no
Yeah.
guns allowed.
Yes.
Like that was so weird to me. And I live in Florida. You know, places. I live in a place where people have guns. You know, it's not Texas. It's not Chicago apparently. But I was like, what? No guns allowed. You gotta tell people that. You really? Yeah. Chicago is. I mean, I had a great time. It's a cool city, but it was interesting.
Wow.
Chicago's one of the most I don't know if everyone knows this, but it's one of the most segregated cities in the country,
Wow.
where the south side is all black people. The north side will be mainly whites with a few blacks sprinkled in there, a few Latinos, Asians sprinkled on the north side. The west side is all really rough black people.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's Little Italy where all the Italians live, and then there's Greek Town where all the Greek people live, and then there's Mexican areas where it's just nothing but Mexicans. There's Puerto Rican areas. So anyway, so Chicago is this huge, amazing city, but each community is so segregated.
Wow.
And so when I moved here almost 2 years ago, I was like, wow, there's no segregation. It's like white people live next to black people, and I see so many mixed couples where all the kids are running around and they're all biracial or multiracial. And in
Yeah.
Chicago, there'll be some mixed people like myself, but it's not as prevalent as it is here in Florida.
Maybe we're the least racist.
Yes. And not segregated.
The least. I wouldn't say the least.
When I looked up and like, Chris had this face. He's like, yeah, exactly.
The least. I think Florida's okay, but I wouldn't.
I mean,
wouldn't
just
call
think
Florida
about
the
that
least.
statement, though. Just think about that statement. We're the least racist.
Yeah.
Like that just shows you how bad it is.
Yeah.
That shows you how bad it is.
Yeah.
That's
Well, it's
sad.
the least segregated.
Okay, gotcha.
One of the least. Okay, I could see that.
yeah,
And like
that's
in
good.
Chicago, we have really wealthy areas, and then you have the hood, and
Gotcha.
then you have middle class areas. Whereas here in Tampa, it's like there'll be some wealthy people, and there'll be like this big, beautiful home, and then it's right next. It's like $1 million home, and it's right next to a little trailer house.
Oh, really?
And I was like,
yeah.
and I'm like, and then like a business will be there.
Yeah.
Whereas in Chicago, we have a business community. Then you have a community of all beautiful multi-million-dollar homes.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then you have the not so good areas. But here it's like everything is like a hodgepodge.
Wow.
Well, it just sounds like Chicago's a better designed city.
It sounds more organized.
It's organized.
Here's the rich section.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Here's the poor
Yeah,
section.
yeah.
Over here, it's just a melting
just like,
pot mess.
everything.
Right.
Yeah.
We're messy in Florida. We don't give a shit.
Yeah,
And there's no
Florida man.
streets.
Yeah. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. You can catch all of our episodes on YouTube and Spotify at Better Gents Podcast, and follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at Better Gents Pod. Thank you and take care.